Chapter 1: Unmasking the Monoliths. Imagine walking through a vast field, a sandy expanse, with just a whisper of wind, and all of a sudden, you stumble upon an enormous stone structure. It seems ancient and carries the weight of mysterious tales untold. For centuries, humans have been fascinated by these giant stone structures, the megaliths, spread across continents, each steered by its own local legend. What if these stones were more than burial markers or sacred sites? What if they chart a history not often spoken over? History of world-changing natural events. The word megalith comes from the Greek terms mega, meaning big, and lithos, meaning stone. Quite literally, they are big stones. These structures encompass a variety of shapes and sizes, from the towering stones of Stonehenge in England to the intricately carved figures of Easter Island. They serve no obvious modern purpose, but they still grip our imaginations. Each site has its own unique setting, folklore, and, possibly, its own reason for existing. Let's take Stonehenge, probably the most famous of these monumental sites. Built around 5,000 years ago, it has been studied by archaeologists, historians, and curious minds for generations. They have decoded parts of it using sun and moon alignments. Others believe it might have been a gigantic calendar. Then there's Göbekli Tepe in Turkey, newly discovered and possibly older than both Stonehenge and the pyramids. These stones show signs of intricate carving and predate the wheel, hinting at a previously unknown ability of ancient people to work in unison on enormous tasks. But what if these impossibly large stones serve as more than just markers of human achievement in construction? Recent studies have started to explore whether some of these megaliths could be markers for global disasters. The changes in climate, massive floods, volcanic eruptions, our planet's ancient temper tantrums possibly recorded in stone. Take, for example, the theory of cataclysmic events that wiped out major parts of the human population in ancient times. It's a question that lingers on the edges of mainstream archaeology, but is gradually gaining serious attention. One of the theories that's gaining ground is that our ancient ancestors built these monuments as advanced early warning systems. Patterns carved into stones and their strategic placement might not just map out the skies, but potentially signal past cataclysms such as comet impacts or radical climate changes. Archaeologists have found evidence of abrupt climate changes right around the last ice age, which pushed human development in new directions. It's hypothesized that early human societies survived these changes and recorded their experiences in the stones they left behind. An example of a site being thought of in this light is the Karnak stones in France, a complex of over 3,000 megaliths. One line of thinking suggests its purpose might have linked to astronomical cycles, perhaps serving as a way to predict something drastic like seasonal shifts or natural disasters. Moreover, Easter Island's Moai statues, with their oversized heads, could also carry unbeknownst messages about changes or disasters that affected the island's inhabitants. Even without written records, ancient stone carving can contain vast amounts of information. Some stones depict stars or geometric patterns. Others show long-forgotten animals, lost to time or climate shifts. Scientists are beginning to decode these as links between celestial observations and global cooling or warming, which may have been catastrophic for early organized civilizations. However, not all agree that these stones serve such purposes. It's important to maintain scientific scrutiny and understand that many theories remain debated. Many scholars argue that the megaliths served community functions, spiritual sites, burial grounds, or gathering spaces, expressing the human penchant for cooperation. This doesn't mean they couldn't have occupied dual functions, capturing the human need to mark celestial or terrestrial shifts. Some archaeological techniques are now reaching new heights with technology aiding in discoveries. Advanced imaging, like LiDAR, helps experts see what lies beneath without disturbing the soil. Every year, we gain new insights into how those ancient landscapes might have looked and worked. It's clear that the movements of the Earth itself, recorded by Stone Age humans, hold the potential to tell us about lives spent guarding against forces beyond their control. Careful, thorough analysis is still needed here. What becomes apparent is our shared sense of wonder, coupled with scientific curiosity. These megaliths, high on hills or deeply hidden in far-off forests, offer whispers from a time when humans first started to look up and heed the world around them. They are stones, yes, but they might also be conversations started with nature thousands of years ago, conversations that we are only just beginning to understand. We don't have all the answers yet, but the journey of pursuit is where the heart of discovery lies. It's about piecing together our own shared human story, one stone at a time. Chapter 2. Stones of Time. Imagine standing in a field dotted with massive stones, each one intricately placed a long, long time ago. These huge rocks, known as megaliths, whisper stories from the past, standing silently but powerfully against the march of time. What if these ancient stone structures were not just set up for ceremonies or as markers for the sun or moon? What if they were trying to tell us something vital about huge events that shook our world in the past? Could they silently scream warnings about disasters that once rocked our planet? Throughout history, human beings have looked towards the heavens and searched the earth beneath their feet to make sense of the world around them. Before modern technology made it possible to understand natural events, ancient folks relied heavily on observation and intuition. Among the many puzzles of our ancestors, these giant stones have always stood out. Megaliths can be found all over the globe, from Stonehenge in England, with its iconic circle of towering rocks, to the giant stone heads of Easter Island. These structures bear the marks of early man's need to build something lasting and significant. But why go through the trouble of moving massive rocks, often over vast distances, only to place them in specific patterns or orientations? Some researchers suggest these structures served as early weather stations, marking dangerous natural phenomena like floods, earthquakes, or meteorite impacts. Imagine ancient humans living with the raw forces of nature, suffering from terrifying events like volcanic eruptions or tsunamis, to warn future generations or to make sense of these events themselves. They might have built stone structures with alignments that tracked the passage of stars, solar eclipses, or the change in the seasons. Could this be their way of recording the occurrences and perhaps warning of them? Recent studies have stirred curiosity and excitement in the scientific community. Many of these megaliths are aligned with solar and lunar cycles, suggesting they had a calendrical function. For example, researchers have observed that the stone circles in Carnac, France, besides being an impressive alignment, also appear to line up with the solstices and equinoxes. These ancient people could have created such alignments to signal important times of the year, which also coincided with seasonal natural events. Could these people have recorded comets or celestial anomalies that led to destruction on Earth? A study of the Gozek Circle in Germany, one of the earliest known structures in Europe, shows its alignments with the winter and summer solstice. Scientists have speculated that it might also serve to mark important solar events, like eclipses or the paths of celestial bodies that could signify impending disaster. Such observations could hint that they were monitoring the sky closely to try to predict catastrophes. In another fascinating twist, Several myths and legends from ancient cultures tell of a past where the sky fell or great floods engulfed the land. Some researchers think these stories may not be mere myths, but are rooted in real events recorded by the ancient monuments left behind. In Siberia, megalithic sites are prominent, existing alongside tales of the Tunguska event in 1908, a massive explosion, likely from a comet or meteor, which flattened about 2,000 square kilometers of forest. While that event happened in the 20th century, legends have remarkably similar descriptions of earlier occurrences, hinting at an oral history passed down through generations. These connections between megaliths and disaster might seem speculative without concrete evidence, but in the context of oral traditions and archaeological findings, they offer enticing avenues for investigation. Professor Martin Sweetman from the University of Edinburgh explains how ancient people might have built these stone constructs as both functional and symbolic representations of their understanding of the cosmos and their place within it. According to some research, as our ancestors started recording the sky, they could have noticed patterns and changes hinting at dire days to come. Yet with all we uncover, many questions still linger. Are there other sites, lesser known and buried beneath time's sands, waiting to provide further clues? How much have we missed by not listening more closely to what these stones have to say? With advancements in technology, like radar mapping and satellite imaging, we can now peer into the past more deeply than ever before. What other secrets do still hidden megaliths hold? And as we learn, how do we reconcile this ancient wisdom with our modern understanding? The hunt for more answers continues, as does the debate. Could it be that these stones were simply markers of celestial events, without any link to disaster at all? Would their builders have intended anything beyond their cultural or ritual significance? As more researchers delve into this topic, the scale and breadth of knowledge we gain about these monumental relics deepens our connection to the past. While it is difficult to draw concrete conclusions without more evidence, the journey of discovery never ceases to mystify and inspire. Or, each newly uncovered megalith or analyzed site adds another piece to the vast puzzle of human history, hinting at a primitive understanding of a complex world we are still striving to fully understand. What we know is that these stones, silent though they are, hold the echo of ancient voices reaching out to us from the deep corridors of time. Chapter 3: Ancient Echoes. Picture yourself standing in a vast field dotted with enormous stone structures. These megaliths, as they are called, tower over the landscape in mysterious arrangements. They have stood silently for thousands of years, outlasting civilizations and silently witnessing the passage of time. But what if these ancient stones are not just monuments of the past? What if they hold secrets about our planet's distant, turbulent history? Many of these structures, like the famous Stonehenge in England or the towering statues on Easter Island, have been surrounded by countless theories and myths. Some people have wondered if they were built by ancient astronauts, while others believe them to be mere grave sites. However, a growing number of researchers are beginning to look at these sites from a new perspective. They propose that these mighty stones might have been erected to record and warn of catastrophic disasters that once reshaped the world as we know it. Let us delve into this idea by examining some fascinating examples. Take Stonehenge, for instance. This iconic circle of stones has long puzzled historians and archaeologists. While it is commonly thought to be an ancient burial site, recent studies suggest that it might have served multiple purposes. The arrangement of the stones aligns with the solstices, and some researchers suggest it could have been used as an astronomical calendar. Could ancient people have been documenting the sky to track major environmental changes? Further afield, in Turkey, lies Göbekli Tepe. This archaeological site is considered one of the oldest known megalithic sites. At over 11,000 years old, it predates Stonehenge by several millennia. The carvings and statues found there show images of animals and symbols that may represent constellations. Some scientists theorize that these could be warnings of disastrous events that occurred in the region, such as comet impacts or climate shifts that caused massive changes in the environment. Interestingly, the idea that ancient structures might track global events isn't confined to Europe and the Middle East. Across the Pacific Ocean, on the island of Rapa Nui, stand the Moai-giant human figures carved from volcanic rock. For years, people have thought these statues were the work of ancestor worship or symbols of power. But recent excavations have uncovered features and patterns that suggest these statues might have been positioned to mark significant celestial occurrences, possibly to track changes in the climate that could affect their survival on the resource-scarce island. Now, one might wonder how ancient peoples could have possibly had the knowledge and motivation to create these large stone sites based on events like natural disasters. One compelling explanation is that these folks had a deep connection to the land and sky. They spent generations observing patterns in nature. Astronomy, geology, and meteorology disciplines we now consider separate were intertwined in their daily lives. For them, understanding and predicting natural events was not just curiosity, but a matter of survival. Consider this. Our ancestors used the stars to navigate vast oceans and chart courses over land. They tracked the moon and the sun to sow and harvest crops. They watched the animal movements to anticipate weather changes. To them, the world was something intricate, but readable and worth chronicling in stone. Let's reflect on why these ideas matter today. Our world is not immune to natural disasters. Earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, and climate changes are reminders of how much we are at the mercy of the planet's forces. Understanding how ancient people might have prepared for and survived these disasters can offer invaluable lessons. They tell us about resilience, adaptability, and the importance of being in tune with our environment. While the theory that megaliths track ancient global disasters is still young and requires more evidence, it challenges us to question and learn more about our past. This line of inquiry pushes scientists to look at ancient structures through a holistic lens, considering both the genius of ancient engineering and the survival instincts of early human societies. As we continue unraveling the secrets of these stone giants, we are reminded of the deep-rooted connection between humanity and our planet. Megaliths, rather than being silent monuments, are perhaps whispers of wisdom passed down through ages. They ignite our curiosity, urging us to look closer, dig deeper, and ask ourselves, what did they see? What should we learn? And what echoes of the past can guide our future in a world that still feels the rumblings of its ancient power? Chapter 4. Silent Warnings. Imagine walking through a quiet field, perhaps in England or France, when you suddenly come upon huge stones standing like sentinels from another world. These stones, known as megaliths, have stood there for thousands of years, and yet they remain wrapped in mystery. Many people see them as fascinating remnants of the past, but what if they held secrets beyond their apparent silence? What if they were markers of ancient global disasters? It's a riveting question, one that stirs the imagination and pushes us to look at these gigantic stones with fresh eyes. These megaliths are found across the world, from Stonehenge in England to Karnak in France, and all the way to the lesser-known Nabt Playa in Egypt. They often appear in circular formations or long rows, and while they captivate tourists and historians alike, the true meaning behind their arrangement and purpose remains a matter of debate. Some of you may have heard tales of how these stones are aligned with stars or act as ancient calendars, but there's a deeper hypothesis. Their alignment and positioning may have been inspired by the need to remember catastrophic events which profoundly affected the landscapes and civilizations of the past. First, let's consider Stonehenge, one of the most studied megalithic sites. Researchers have speculated that the stones align with solar and lunar cycles. Yet, intriguing new studies suggest that beyond telling time, these stones might echo the memory of cataclysmic events like meteor strikes or volcanic eruptions. Scientists emphasize that ancient people would have been intimately connected to their environment, much more so than we are today with our modern distractions. A massive volcanic eruption or an incoming comet could have dramatically affected the climate, sparking famine or even societal collapse. It stands to reason that people might build enduring monuments to mark or even warn of these disastrous events. One theory suggests that the stones could be angled or placed in relation to specific geographic or astronomical events tied to past disasters. For example, a research team recently used satellite imagery to analyze alignments of stones in Scotland and found possible connections to ancient floodplains, suggesting that these sites could serve as warnings of flood-prone areas. It's like the land and stones together form a complex map, pointing out places and patterns long erased from everyday memory. Moreover, in the region of Brittany, France, the Carnac stones spread over nearly 4 kilometers in complex layouts. Besides their mysterious beauty, these alignments might encode astronomical data related to natural events like eclipses or tides. But could they also signify geographical knowledge about earth-shattering events, like earthquakes? Here, geological surveys have shown changes in soil and underground rocks, consistent with seismic activity thousands of years ago. If these stones were designed to serve as markers, they might help local populations to remember these dangers and adapt their livelihoods accordingly. If we shift our focus to the desert of Egypt, the site of Nabta Playa reveals an even older structure, possibly predating Stonehenge by 1,000 years. It's believed this site was an ancient ceremonial center, with stones arranged in a manner that marked the summer solstice. Curiously, some Egyptian megaliths are linked with evidence of abrupt climatic shifts, possibly driven by changes in the Earth's orbit or solar activity that dried the once fertile region over time. Wouldn't it be incredible to think that by tracking such catastrophic droughts, the ancient builders could prepare for future changes by moving to greener pastures? Expert opinions on these matters are varied. Some archaeologists assert there is scant direct evidence proving megaliths track ancient disasters, while others insist that we should not overlook the potential wisdom encoded in such ancient technologies. Consider the impressive knowledge and skills required to move these stones, some weighing dozens of tons to position perfectly in line with celestial events or specific geographic locales. Such efforts might be too monumental to be merely decorative or spiritual. Instead, they hint at a complex understanding of the world that should demand our respect and further study. As we tap into modern technology, such as ground-penetrating radar and computer simulations, the ability to read between the lines or stones, in this case expands. Perhaps future discoveries will decode the environmental and geological narratives these markers silently share. What if, after all, these stones were placed with foresight and caution, serving not only as a compass to the past, but guiding us toward a safer future? This idea fuels an exciting blend of archaeology and earth science, uncovering a deep time narrative written in stone. It challenges us to ponder not only what these monumental creations meant for the societies of the past, but what they still might say to us now about our own relationship to nature's most unpredictable forces. It's a humbling reminder that the Earth's history, marked by both beauty and violence, is written across its surface and, sometimes, written in stones that stand the test of time. Chapter 5. Cosmic Connections. Imagine a night sky, clear and sparkling, thousands of years ago. Our ancestors gazed upwards, not with the help of telescopes or smart devices, but with nothing more than their eyes, curiosity, and keen intelligence. These ancient people found some cosmic secrets woven into those shimmering stars, a puzzle so grand it might have left them in awe. They saw patterns, movements, and perhaps even signs that connected them to the world around in mysterious ways. What's fascinating is how these connections might be linked to the massive stone structures scattered across the globe, called megaliths. Megaliths are gigantic stones arranged in specific formations that dot the landscapes of various cultures. From the colossal Stonehenge in England to the intricate lines of Machu Picchu in Peru. While some explain these structures through religious or cultural lenses, another perspective considers a more scientific approach. What if these monumental stones were tracking, storing, or reflecting knowledge about events far beyond our everyday experience, like global disasters? Let's start with the basics. What exactly are these ancient disasters they might have been tracking? Scientists have found evidence that throughout Earth's history, various global changes have had significant impacts on life as we know it. From powerful volcanic eruptions, giant meteor impacts, and sudden shifts in the climate, to solar flares and magnetic field alterations, these events would have been daunting, to say the least. They were moments of transformation, shaping the physical world and lives of those who lived during those epochs. Now, imagine the people of these times. They didn't have the technology we rely upon today. Yet they understood their world through detailed observation and logical thinking. They were likely much more in touch with the natural patterns of their environment than many of us. They had to be for survival. In different parts of the world, there arose a remarkable idea: erect huge stones to mark something significant. But what exactly was the purpose? This is where the theories intertangle with evidence, prompting further curiosities. Some researchers argue that megaliths were built as complex astronomical calendars. Consider Stonehenge. It's not merely a random assortment of stones. Rather, its construction has an alignment with the sun during the summer solstice, creating a remarkable celestial event every year. These alignments weren't coincidental. Engineers purposefully arranged them to enact these cosmic dramas, highlighting an awareness of celestial cycles. Furthermore, some patterns in megalithic structures suggest knowledge of more than just lunar and solar movements. There might be hints toward larger cosmic cycles. Studies suggest some megaliths align with the locations of certain stars or constellations that have been associated with periodic celestial events, some of which could have been signs of catastrophic happenings in ancient times. Consider how cultures around the world kept detailed recordings or oral traditions speaking of great floods, earthquakes, or the sky falling. The idea that humans across different continents, with no apparent connections, described similar stories is intriguing. Could these stories be embedded in structures that did not just stand as cultural symbols, but as markers of cosmic memory? The field of archaeastronomy dives into these ideas. It aims at understanding how ancient civilizations perceived phenomena in the sky and its influences on their culture, agriculture, and myths. Scholars have found various stone structures throughout Europe and beyond where certain alignments serve not just as observatories or places of worship, but potentially as cautionary tales etched in stone. Then there's the lesser-known discovery of the alignments at ancient sites like Nabta Playa in the Nubian desert. This early stone circle proves that nomadic people in Africa constructed similar complex structures thousands of years before Stonehenge. Unlike many other sites, Nabda Playa aligns not only with the summer solstice but also with the brightest stars in Orion's belt. The precision with which these stones were placed suggests an understanding of astronomy far beyond what was once assumed. But this leads to another question. How did such similar phenomena inspire such similar responses across unrelated and diverse cultures? One link could be communication between tribes and temples, a sharing of knowledge that was then adapted to suit each landscape and starry night sky. However, it's equally plausible that separate cultures, each observing the same sky, independently deciphered the language of the stars and applied it to their earthly concerns. We often take for granted what the ancient skywatchers observed and recorded. Today's scientists continue piecing together this cosmic puzzle through new technologies, like satellite imagery and sophisticated computer modeling, which allow for more detailed investigations of these megalithic structures and their potential meanings. With the modern understanding of geology and space, researchers can explore these old stories with fresh eyes and enriched data. While much of this research remains ongoing, what stays is the spark of curiosity and awe it ignites. Realizing that ancient humans might have created lasting monoliths, not just for earthly matters, but to relate their experiences and warnings about the cosmos, challenges how we see these memorable stones today, like chapters in a world-sized book composed of rock. These megaliths reflect our predecessors' way of recording and communicating knowledge about their universe. While they seemed disconnected, these structures now propose linkages across oceans and ages, telling us parts of a narrative about an ancient awareness of cosmic forces and earthly disasters. In this age, we continue to study these fascinating stone constructions. Each finding, be it from a forgotten theory or a new scientific breakthrough, falls like a crumb on a trail. As we piece together more of this grand story, it adds a deeper meaning to the seemingly silent rocks scattered across our landscapes. They echo a time when the earth and sky were in constant dialogue, and human ingenuity carved meaning into both. Chapter 6. Guardians of History. Imagine walking through a dense forest, where the trees arch overhead, creating a green cathedral with shafts of sunlight piercing through the leaves. As you venture deeper, a massive stone structure peeks from behind the trees. Standing tall and proud, this ancient monument captures your gaze. These stones have been here for millennia, silent witnesses to the passage of time and the ebb and flow of civilizations. Such megaliths are not just rocks stacked together. They hold stories that stretch across the eons, stories that may connect us to significant events in the planet's past. Megaliths, which can be found all over the world, are large stones used to create structures or monuments. They often seem to be placed with incredible precision. Take Stonehenge, for instance, those famous standing stones on Salisbury Plain in England. The way the stones align with the solstices suggests that people from long ago had a deep comprehension of the skies. But what if these edifices are more than just ancient calendars? Some researchers propose that they could have been used to track and record catastrophic events. The idea that ancient builders could have been tracking global disasters isn't as far-fetched as it might initially seem. Throughout history, humans have always been deeply connected to their environment, often living and thriving in balance with natural cycles. Catastrophic events, such as volcanic eruptions, earthquakes, or tsunamis, would have had profound impacts on these early societies. It's plausible that ancient people went to great lengths to mark these occurrences in some enduring way, ensuring that future generations could remember and possibly even prepare for similar events. Evidence supporting this notion can be found when we look at various megalithic sites worldwide and their potential connections to natural disasters. Take, for example, the mysterious structures known as the Nabta Playa stones in the Egyptian desert. These stones date back to approximately 7,000 years ago, a time well before the construction of the pyramids. The arrangement of these stones appears to reflect the alignments of the stars and the sun at important times of the year, and researchers believe they may also correlate with changes in weather patterns and the onset of severe droughts in the region. This connection suggests that the people who lived there were intensely aware of their climate and may have been recording warning signs of environmental changes. If we journey to South America, another thought-provoking site awaits. At Tiwanaku in Bolivia, an ancient city with structures that some believe could be over 2,000 years old, we find precision stonework that practically defies logic. Here, the arrangement of the stones aligns with important celestial events. When considering that Andean civilizations have rich oral traditions that reference major climatic shifts, it's possible that sites like Tiwanaku served not just ceremonial purposes, but also as a means of chronicling natural upheavals. A similar pattern is evident in Southeast Asia with Angkor Wat, a majestic temple complex in Cambodia. Built in the 12th century by the Khmer Empire, it's famous for its grandiose architecture and intricate carvings. More recently, researchers have begun to explore whether those carvings contain knowledge about floods and other natural disasters that occurred during its construction or maintenance. Some believe the bas-reliefs not only depict mythological stories, but also serve as warnings or records of nature's power. Modern technology aids us immensely in our quest to unlock the secrets these stones might hold. Today, researchers use cutting-edge techniques like ground-penetrating radar and three-dimensional modeling to explore what lies beneath and inside these structures, revealing patterns and alignments that aren't visible to the naked eye. Such methods have uncovered similar alignments and purposes in megalithic sites across Europe, Asia, and the Americas, drawing connections we might never have imagined possible a century ago. Apart from physical technologies, the collation of oral histories, legends, and stories from the descendants of those who erected these stones adds layers to our understanding. Narratives passed down over generations often contain kernels of truth about ancient events. By comparing these oral traditions across various cultures, researchers can identify common themes and hypothesize about the widespread impacts of disasters which may have been recorded in stone. As we rediscover these ancient memories etched into rocks, profound questions arise. What if the architects of these monuments knew the significance of recording danger in stone, ensuring survival for those who came after? Could they have understood concepts about Earth's cycles and celestial events that modern science is only now beginning to comprehend? And if so, could there be messages encoded in these grand structures that we have yet to fully decipher? It's fascinating to consider the dedication required to shape and transport such massive stones, often from great distances. The effort involved indicates that these structures held monumental importance to the people who built them. It's humbling to think that a civilization could endure a cataclysmic event and prioritize leaving behind markers for posterity. In a way, it's a testament to human resilience and communication across time. Understanding these megaliths and the potential disaster records they may contain requires us to continue to blend historical study, archaeology, astronomy, and geology. Each new discovery brings us closer to embracing ancient wisdom that could help us navigate our future. As we stand before these colossal stones, we must ask ourselves if we are ready to listen to what they have to say, to learn from our shared past, and prepare for the uncertain journey that lies ahead. Chapter 7. Secrets in Stone. In the heart of Europe, nestled among lush green fields and rolling hills, stand stones believed to be thousands of years old. These aren't just any stones. They are large, mysterious, and full of secrets. People have long wondered, who built these ancient monuments, and why? Long ago, humans started arranging stones in big circles, spirals, or lines. Today, these stone arrangements are called megaliths. People all over the world have found them. Could it be that these stones hold wisdom from ancient times? Some thinkers believe they might be markers of past events, perhaps even changes in the earth that were so important our ancestors felt a need to remember them. Evidence and theories suggest that ancient peoples paid close attention to the skies and the land around them. They could have witnessed natural events like huge volcano eruptions, earthquakes, or even meteor impacts. Scientists have found that many megaliths are aligned with the stars, sun, or moon. For example, Stonehenge in England is famously aligned to the summer solstice sunrise and the winter solstice sunset. This astronomical alignment suggests that the builders had some understanding of these cycles. But what if, alongside recording time, they also tried to track unusual events? What if they noted down happenings that shook their world? Archaeologists have discovered that some megaliths align with nearby fault lines, areas prone to earthquakes. This has led to questions. Did ancient people build these stones to commemorate major quakes? There was a time, around 10,000 years ago, when the last ice age was ending. During this period, huge ice sheets covering large parts of the world began to melt. This led to rising sea levels and climate changes, which possibly resulted in massive floods. Some scientists propose that global disaster stories, like the tale of a great flood in many cultures, could be memories of these events. Did ancient peoples want their future generations to know of these powerful occurrences, which could explain the myths and stories from history? Researchers found a link between the observable rise in sea levels and old myths passed down through many generations. By examining layers of Earth, scientists can sift through what is called sedimentary records. Each layer holds evidence of past climates and events, like a diary written by the Earth itself. And by doing this, they discovered high levels of environmental changes that match those recorded myths. Thus, the stones could serve as a reminder or a way to recount those unforgettable environmental upheavals. There's also evidence that suggests connections between different megalith sites around the world. Some researchers have tried to map out the locations of megaliths globally. The idea is that they form a network, pointing towards shared knowledge or experiences across cultures. For many years, megalith enthusiasts looked for patterns in ancient craftsmanship that could imply some level of shared knowledge or message. If the memory of a disaster had been strong enough to reach different cultures, could these stones stand as a whisper from our ancestors to offer a shared caution? A fascinating theory arises when considering carvings found on the stones. Some have been linked with ancient star constellations, which could mean the people who carved them had been recording celestial events, or perhaps were marking significant changes they saw in the sky. How did they notice and remember something happening so high above them during a time without modern telescopes or satellites? All of this makes us wonder, what did life look like back then, and how did these monumental stone structures fit into the lives of those who created them? Were they just a show of strength or artistry, or did they have a deeper purpose? Could they have been aiming to warn, educate, or prepare future generations? When we look at a megalith, we might see just a large slab of stone. But when we piece together astronomy, geology, and mythology, these stones become more than just relics. they become part of a complex history left behind by resilient people. They remind us that ancient humans were deeply in tune with their surroundings and incredibly wise, in ways we are still striving to understand. Perhaps, as scientists continue to uncover these connections, we will develop not just a deeper understanding of the stones themselves, but of the people who left them as messages across millennia. The wonder of these ancient structures lies not just in their mystery, but in how they challenge us to look into the past, to learn about the future. Through careful study and respect for past knowledge, we might uncover what these stones have silently stood witness to for all these centuries. And perhaps they will teach us how to be mindful of the stories our planet tells, the ones etched into rock and memory, across time and space. Chapter 8. Geology or Mythology. Imagine standing in front of giant stones, towering towards the sky, placed in patterns that baffle the minds of modern-day people. These stones, known as megaliths, have been around for thousands of years, and their presence sparks one of humanity's oldest questions. Why were they built? Could these ancient stones tell stories about our planet's past? About colossal natural events that might have shaped human history? Let's start by exploring where we can find these megaliths. They're not just dotted across one region, but can be spotted all over the globe. From Stonehenge in England to the towering Moai statues on Easter Island, these structures have been mesmerizing us for centuries. The stones that make up these formations didn't just stumble into place. Many were transported from distant locations, often over rough terrain, without the modern equipment we use today. Interestingly, some experts suggest that these ancient structures could have been built in response to awe-inspiring events experienced by our distant ancestors. For example, the stones at Stonehenge are aligned with the movements of the sun, marking the solstices and equinoxes, events that would have been vital to early agricultural societies. This alignment with celestial events suggests an advanced understanding of the sky. But what if it wasn't just the patterns of the stars they were tracking? Consider this. Our Earth has faced many natural catastrophes over millennia. Massive earthquakes, devastating tsunamis, volcanic eruptions, and even changes in the climate. These natural events could wipe away entire civilizations or drastically alter landscapes. So, could it be that ancient peoples erected these stones not only for ceremonial or religious purposes, but also to mark these incredible occurrences? Geologists have long studied the Earth's layers to piece together tales of the past. By understanding rock formations and sediment layers, they can determine when and where significant geological events took place. Meanwhile, mythology, passed down through generations, often tells tales of great floods, earth-shattering quakes, or fire raining from the sky. These stories might sound fanciful, but could they be based on real events? For instance, the story of Atlantis, a grand civilization that supposedly sank beneath the waves, has intrigued many. Could it be a memory of a real location and disaster, maybe inspired by dramatic geological events like earthquakes or tsunamis? Some researchers even suggest that the legend of Atlantis might be linked to the volcanic eruption on the Mediterranean island of Thera, modern-day Santorini, which significantly impacted nearby civilizations like the Moreover, let's turn our attention to another fascinating tale. The biblical Great Flood, echoed in numerous cultures worldwide. In the scientific world, some researchers have proposed the Black Sea deluge theory. This idea suggests that a massive flood around 7,600 years ago might be the source of flood myths. Rising sea levels at that time could potentially account for the vast body of water crashing through the Bosporus Strait and filling the then smaller Black Sea, displacing populations and inspiring legendary stories of a deluge. Connect these tales with the locations of some megaliths, and you have an intriguing intersection of geology and mythology. Consider Göbekli Tepe in modern-day Turkey, which seems to predate the recognized advent of agriculture and yet bears evidence of advanced social organization. Might the site point to a civilization in step with dramatic changes occurring in their environment, or dealing with the after-effects of a vast change, such as flooding? Another example can be found in the Pacific. The statues on Easter Island or Rapa Nui stand vigilant, seemingly keeping watch over the sea. Although much of Easter Island's history remains a mystery, could these legendary watchmen indeed be warning of past tsunamis or other island-altering events? Pyroclastic flows, landslides, meteor impacts. These natural occurrences have certainly been influential throughout Earth's history, often reshaping the planet in quick, forceful ways. Without written records, societies pass down important stories through oral traditions or physical markings in their environments. Could these impressive stone constructions be some form of such markings? While scientific understanding can help interpret the earthquaking shifts beneath the Earth's crust, the narrative preserved in other kinds of cultural memory gives a vivid voice to these events. In truth, whether stones or stories, societies from across time and space have found ways to understand their surroundings, document change, and, perhaps, warn future generations of its potential wrath. By examining megaliths and the myths shared around campfires and hearths for generations, there's an opportunity to learn about the very significant tracks of ancient global disasters, both awe-inspiring and terrifying, hidden around us in plain sight. As we unlock the secrets buried between those stones, perhaps we'll find that the truth blends the reliable rigor of geology with the vivid storytelling of mythology. Together, they may yield insights into our ancestors' world, a complex and ever-changing landscape that shaped their lives and ours. Chapter 9: Earth's Memory. Imagine standing in front of a giant stone structure, its rough surface cool to the touch and covered in an intricate dance of lichen and moss. These stones have stood here for thousands of years, watching as countless generations of people have come and gone. In many parts of the world, such mysterious megaliths, the landscape, their purpose and origins, often shrouded in mystery. But what if these ancient monuments hold more secrets than we've ever imagined? What if they were markers of ancient global disasters, serving as messages passed down through time? As we explore this idea, it's important to understand what a megalith is. It's a term derived from Greek words meaning large stone. Most famously, places like Stonehenge in England or the towering statues of Easter Island come to mind. These aren't random formations of rock. Instead, each stone seems deliberately placed, forming structures that align with celestial bodies or create acoustical wonders. What's mind-boggling is not just their sheer size and weight, but the fact that they were moved and set up without modern technology. But why were they constructed? Was there a pattern or purpose behind their creation other than showing off engineering skill or serving ceremonial functions? One thought-provoking theory is that megaliths might have served as a kind of natural record-keeping system of ancient cataclysmic events. Picture a time when the human race, vulnerable to the whims of nature, witnessed disasters such as tsunamis, earthquakes, or volcanic eruptions, in regions where oral traditions could falter and where written records had not yet emerged. Perhaps these stones acted as permanent reminders of those events, meant to alert future descendants. Scientific studies lend some credibility to this idea. For example, research by geomorphologists and archaeologists has suggested that several megalithic sites correspond with geological features known to be prone to natural disasters. Take Göbekli Tepe in Turkey, often cited as one of the world's oldest megalithic sites. dating back over 11,000 years. Some scientists propose that it was built following a dramatic climatic event known as the Younger Dryas, a sudden return to glacial conditions that happened between 12,800 and 11,600 years ago. The carvings and the orientation of Göbekli Tepe might hint at rising water levels or unusual climatic changes which influenced agricultural development and human societies. Furthermore, many megaliths are aligned with the stars and the sun. This was not merely for calendar purposes, but maybe due to a deeper connection people felt with the universe. Alignments can indicate times when, based on prior experience, particular celestial events might coincide with disruptions on Earth, comets, meteor showers, or even solar flares, affecting climate patterns dramatically. Chatting with astronomers and anthropologists reveals a wealth of knowledge where ancient peoples understood these connections far better than we sometimes give them credit for. On Easter Island, the Moai statues stand with their backs to the ocean, gazing inland. It's puzzling why not face out to sea. One theory suggests they're protectors against threats from the ocean, possibly even a reminder of a catastrophic tsunami that might have swept over the island in ancient times, resetting the island's societal foundations. Geological evidence supports the occurrence of such events, showcasing huge deposits of marine materials far inland. As we uncover these threads, another question arises. Why are some megalithic sites mysteriously deserted or unfinished? Was it the abrupt arrival of another disaster, forcing populations to leave hurriedly, leaving behind thriving communities turned silent overnight? Machu Picchu in Peru stands as a testament to vanished civilizations. There's intrigue around whether its site was chosen due to its strategic placement away from geological weaknesses like earthquake-prone faults, or because of potential shifts in weather patterns leading to their sudden demise. While we cannot definitively say that all megaliths were designed to track disasters, the idea pushes us to question and learn continually. There's an allure in combining disciplines, archaeology with geology, astronomy with anthropology, to better understand how ancient societies perceived their world. Modern technology, like satellite imaging and ground-penetrating radar, allows us to examine these sites without disturbing them, uncovering hidden layers of history buried beneath the earth. Consider the many hypotheses, but remember the objective is not to jump to conclusions. Instead, it's a quest to piece together our heritage, perhaps offering valuable insights for our future. What other lessons lie encoded in stone, waiting to be deciphered? Could we one day harness this wisdom to better forecast and prepare for environmental changes ourselves? The exploration of stone structures as markers of global disasters provides us with fresh perspectives on how deeply connected ancient people were with their surroundings. It invites us to be attentive students of the past, digging deeper into the secrets found in every rock and every position of the stars. As we delve into this narrative, one thing is certain: the stones still have much to tell us, if we are only willing to listen. Chapter 10: Lost Signals. In the vast stretches of time before the tools we know today, long before electric lights or digital screens, great stones were raised by hands we can never shake. These stones, known as megaliths, are ancient, intriguing, and enigmatic, standing as silent sentinels across the world. They beckon us to listen, to try to understand the whispers of the past that echo within them. For centuries, these towering stones have sparked endless curiosity and debates. Who built them, and for what purpose? These are pressing questions, but as we delve deeper, another possibility emerges. What if these megaliths were records, preserving ancient scars of nature's fury? Take Stonehenge, for instance. This circle of stones in the English countryside is a marvel that has puzzled historians, archaeologists, and travelers alike. The stones are positioned quite deliberately, aligned with the sunrise of summer solstice and the sunset of winter solstice. But besides marking celestial patterns, some researchers suggest they could be more than a calendar. It's fascinating to consider that Stonehenge might have played a role in tracking past climate changes and natural disasters. Some experts, like Dr. Jeffrey Wainwright, have speculated that these stone arrangements could have been built to commemorate significant events or shifts, possibly even catastrophic ones. Imagine if the placement of each stone told a part of a larger story, a book written in the language of stone. Now, let's travel far from the plains of Salisbury to the remote and majestic island of Rapa Nui, or Easter Island. The iconic Moai statues, with their austere gazes, present another mystery. While primarily thought to be monuments dedicated to ancestors, recent theories propose they might also serve as reminders of ecological disasters. As a society that once faced dramatic ecological collapse, it's conceivable that these statues did more than honor the past. Perhaps they are a plea to remember the dangers of overuse and destruction of resources. In a world deeply focused on technological innovation, these ancient stones stand as reminders of an earlier time, urging us to look back. History might seem set in stone, yet it occasionally shifts under the light of new discovery. Around the globe, from the burnt ochre deserts of Australia, with its array of standing stones, to the ancient passage tombs of Newgrange in Ireland, these megaliths whisper the secrets of their builders. They might carry tales of volcanic eruptions, massive floods, or shifting climates from millennia ago. Experts like Dr. Mike Parker Pearson, who has dedicated considerable effort to studying megaliths, suggests that many ancient societies had an acute awareness of their environment. They experienced the power of nature firsthand and perhaps used these formations to chart and understand patterns of their world. Could this mean our forebears were early scientists in their right, collecting knowledge and drawing conclusions from the patterns they perceived in nature? One of the most thrilling possibilities is how these megaliths, through patient accumulation of data across ages, could inform our current understanding of climate and natural disasters. Many ancient records are lost, but stones endure. They bear witness and demand interpretation. We learn, for example, about seismic activities from the fault-aligned stones in Al-Nasla in Saudi Arabia. Experts suggest they offer clues to tectonic movements due to their alignments with fault lines. Could they hold information pertinent to modern seismic studies? Understanding our environment might seem a modern pursuit, but these stones remind us it is as old as civilization itself. By studying these weathered giants, we not only seek to understand our planet's history, but also reflect on how in tune ancient peoples were with their surroundings. Science today grapples with climate change and environmental hazards in ways our ancestors couldn't. Yet, these megaliths, once silent on the landscape, remind us that observation, patience, and reflection were cornerstones of ancient societies. Their stories, encrypted in rock and position, invite us to consider the broader tapestry of history, one where humans lived in close communion with the earth, sometimes with dire consequences. So here we are, observers of stone, asking questions neither simple nor easy. Do these ancients point us toward paths not yet walked? Could unraveling their secrets better prepare us for the intricacies of our planet's rhythms? As we work to comprehend their messages, one thing is certain. These silent stones still have much to teach us. Their lessons are waiting to be uncovered, poised to reshape our understanding of past, present, and future.